Hello everybody, welcome to the Baritone Bartender. Here's another episode of the Baritone Bartender where I'm making a cocktail that is themed for one of the productions that I'm in. I've been doing this lately. When I was in Tosca, I made one called Il Bacio di Tosca, and I made one when I was in Hamlet called the Juice of Cursed Hebanon. And this one is for Sweeney Todd. As you know, Sweeney Todd is a very bloody musical. I'm about to do it next week, and so I've created this particular cocktail for this episode. I'm calling it the Bloody Sweeney. The Bloody Sweeney. You say, well, wait, bloody, he kills everybody else. He doesn't get killed. Oh, he does. He has a very bloody demise. You probably know that a Bloody Mary is traditionally made with vodka. I'm making it with a nice London dry gin. Plymouth Gin. Plymouth is actually mentioned in the play. Antony is going to Plymouth. He's a sailor, and he's going to Plymouth. This is my favorite gin for martinis, and I thought it would be perfect for this too. I'm using a Bloody Mary mix. You guys don't have to make your own Bloody Mary mix. I just a store-bought one, and it's called Mr. and Mrs. T. This happens to be my favorite one, but surprisingly, it's called Mr. and Mrs. T. And Mr. Todd is referred to as Mr. T by Mrs. Lovett, and she would love to be Mrs. T. That does not happen, but she would love for them to be Mr. and Mrs. T, and she sings a whole song about it called By the Sea. Another thing I'm going to do is try to make this into the bloodiest Bloody Sweeney, the bloodiest Bloody Mary that I can. And so I'm going to rim the glass. I've got my garnishes are already prepared. I'm going to rim this beautiful glass with something called chamoy. Chamoy is a Mexican pepper sauce, but it's very mild. And in Mexican cuisine, in popular Mexican cuisine, it's used in all kinds of stuff. I use the same thing for my watermelon and mint margarita, by the way, if you saw that episode. So this is chamoy, and it's very bloody looking, as you can see. That's the reason, a little bit spicy. And then I've got more chamoy inside of here, and I'll show you how I do this. Now, another aspect of this, I'd like this to be as much like a meat pie as possible, because you know Mrs. Lovett, she makes meat pies from the bodies of the people that Sweeney kills. And so in keeping with that theme, I'm trying to make it meaty. I have, first of all, I have a Slim Jim. This is a meat stick that I'm going to use as a garnish. And the reason I'm using this is because just like Mrs. Lovett's meat pies, we're not quite sure what's in there. Okay, the garnish is just going to be a simple, very typical for a Bloody Mary, for instance. I've got a cornichon, a pickled onion, a martini olive with pimento, and a little cherry tomato. And then I've also got a little lime wedge if you want to do that. If it needs a little bit of acid to it, then that would be great. Here are the condiments laid out here. The garnishes, you can see what they look like before they're strung up. This is just a skewer. So it's nice and long, it sticks out of the glass. Now, I'm going to caution you, you want to make your garnishes before you make the cocktail, or else you'll be sitting there, the cocktail gets diluted if it's like on this one's on ice, or it'll get warm. And so I'm going to show you how I do that. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is rim this glass. I'll put these things out of the way for you. I've got this chamoy in this squeeze bottle, and I'm going to very carefully run a little bit of chamoy on the inside rim of the glass. So we're going to very carefully just put a thin line of chamoy. I like to just sort of roll it along like that. Okay, and then also for the rimming of the glass, we've taken this as a store-bought pie crust that I just baked, took it hot out of the oven, just like Mrs. Lovett would. I have seasoned it with some coriander, because she talks about using coriander in her pies. Some celery seed, not salt, but celery seed, because that's a common component of Bloody Marys. They'll sometimes use celery salt, and then some sea salt. And I'm just gonna, I haven't tasted it, I'm hoping it's right. Oh, surprisingly good. Very good. So this will be on the rim. So now here in my rimming device, it says lime juice, but that's not lime juice. That's chamoy that I dribbled onto there. And I'm going to put this in like, it's just a little sponge. You can use whatever you want, but it gets it nice and wet. And we dip it in the pie crust, and voila. We've got, it didn't stick very well. Let me try that again. This pie crust is a little damp. All right, that'll do. And you see now that we can put a little more chamoy on the inside there to make it drip. And what I want to make sure that I don't fill it up past here with the drink, so you can see the blood. Okay, so let's leave that for a second. All right. I'm going to use this Plymouth Gin, as I mentioned. This measure is 2 ounces on top, 1 on the bottom. 1 ounce is about 30 milliliters. Mrs. Lovett gives Tobias a nice tot of gin. What's a tot? A tot of gin is 25 milliliters. So it's very close to 1 ounce. It's about 8/10 of an ounce. So I'm just going to, actually I'm going to use 2 full ounces in this drink. 2 ounces of Plymouth Gin, or any London dry gin you'd like. Then I'm going to take, I'm not sure how much, I'm going to take approximately the right amount. If there's some left in the shaker, it's no big deal. I would say probably about that much. I don't know what that is. That's probably about 6 ounces, I would say, something like that. 6 ounces, 180 milliliters. And then I'll stick my ice in here. It's going to be shaken. I want to be careful not to, when I pour this into the glass, I don't want to disturb the rim. Okay, now everyone's going to have their own preference as to the spiciness. This is not that spicy, this mix, so I'm going to add some, we call it Worcestershire sauce. In England, they call it Worcester sauce. Worcester. You tell me how that's possible. Worcestershire, and they say Worcester. Go figure, but it's their city, so they know what they're talking about. Okay, so I'm gonna put 3 shakes of this. 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna put in some Tabasco, which the English call Tabasco. 1, 2, 3. If it's not spicy enough, you know, you can always add a little bit more. It's going to be shaken. Just to get it mixed. Ooh, look at that. Look how bloody it's looking. Ooh. Nice. Okay. Now I'm going to just pour this in with the ice. There will probably be some left in the shaker, but I'm going to make a little funnel with my fingers here to avoid the rim. Come on, baby. And that's about it. I could use maybe 1 more chunk of ice in there. Like that. I'll stick my garnishes in. 1 garnish. Here's the meat stick. You could put bacon in here. I have done that, made a bacon Bloody Mary with, if you cook the bacon and get it nice and crisp and then put it in a food processor, it actually stays together pretty well, but it's a bit of a hassle. So we're just doing something that's a little more visible. And that's it. We can put a lime wedge on here if we like. And if you're not happy with the bloodiness, that looks pretty good. But we could just put a couple more drops in here to make it look really bloody. And there you are, the Bloody Sweeney. Attend the tale of Sweeney Todd. He served a dark and a vengeful god. What happened then? Well, that's the play, and he wouldn't want us to give it away. Not Sweeney Todd, the demon Barber of Fleet Street. Let's see how it tastes. Be careful not to stick yourself in the eye. It's very good. All right, so that's it. There you go, the Bloody Sweeney. If you happen to see this before April 13th, 2024, come to Norfolk, Virginia, the Virginia Arts Festival with the Virginia Symphony. We're doing Sweeney Todd with legendary conductor Rob Fisher. Wonderful cast, full orchestra, staging, Should be great. Should be great. So enjoy. Thanks for joining me. Bye.